guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Rachel for anyone who is new here. For anyone that is a regular, welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to talk about my new recording setup for my at-home use right now. Obviously, during the pandemic, it's a really difficult time for performers in general. We're not able to perform. Obviously, a gigantic part of what we do is collaborating with other artists and being on stage in front of people. So unfortunately, right now is not really a great time for the performance industry. So if you know anyone in the performance industry, reach out and share some love because it's a lot. But on top of that, not only can we not really perform right now, it's kind of impossible to audition in person. Now, there's kind of been this growing trend, which I 100% am on board with over the last several years, to do self-submissions via video. But that doesn't happen so often in musical theater as much so in TV and film. Because in musical theater, they need to see your whole body, they need to hear your voice in the room, they need to see how quickly you can pick up choreography if you're a dancer. So it's a little tricky to do at-home taping. But now, in the middle of the pandemic, it's the only option. So we kind of all have had to scramble and figure out how to do this. So previously, when I was doing self-tapes, I would get very creative. I would take the shades off of lamps and try to use those like weird angle desk lamps to try to put light on my face. And you know, I would try to get a speaker that could be loud enough to overpower my big mouth because I'm loud. So I had to get certain kinds of speakers that were loud enough to be heard on a level higher than me. And I just felt like I was always kind of hodgepodging things together, and it would work, but it wasn't a setup. It was just kind of me winging it. So I decided that now that I have the opportunity to kind of create a setup that I can use consistently, that I would do some research, and I want to pass that research along to all of you. When I was looking on YouTube, I found a whole lot of videos talking about self-taping as an actor, but not a lot of videos talking about self-taping as a musical theater person or as a vocalist. So that's what I'm gonna focus on today, but this could be useful for your acting submissions as well. So there's kind of 3 points. Don't mind me if I'm looking down here, it's my notes. There's kind of 3 aspects to every self-tape, right? So the first being, in my opinion, the most important, lighting, your video, and your audio. So as far as I am concerned, I believe that lighting is the most important aspect. What? What do you mean, Rachel? It's a video. The video must be the most important. That's where you're wrong. If you have a smartphone, you don't need a fancy camera. The camera in your phone, what I'm using right now, is more than fine for 99% of your submissions. Unless there's a very specific thing you're looking for, your camera on your phone is just fine. So, video, check, done. Moving on. Now you'll notice if you are using, your smartphone, as I do for my taping, they don't tend to do very well in dim lighting. So if you're, say, going to see a show or something like that, you'll see that if you're shooting the stage, it'll get completely bleached out because of the lighting on the person. Or if you're in, say, a bar or a restaurant and you're trying to take a picture, it's too dim. So you have to be really conscious about how you're lighting when you're filming. So there are kind of 2 schools of thought as far as lighting is concerned. The first is a softbox. And what that is basically going to be is a central focus light with then some sort of fabric dispersing that light. It's kind of the industry standard for TV and film. If you've ever done headshot shooting indoors, you've seen it. It's basically a central light, typically an LED, and then either a box or a screen, which softens that light. Now, for me personally, in New York City, in my apartment, I don't have the space for that. And they are rather cumbersome. So for me, that wasn't ideal, but you know what? If you have the space, if you have a spare room, 100% do it. The lighting is absolutely beautiful. But for me, as you guys can tell, I have decided to opt with the other option, which is a ring light. So I have two recommendations as far as your companies to look into for ring light. The one that I bought is actually from, excuse me, UBeesize. I think that's how they say it. I'm not 100% sure, but fun fact, right now we're just using the light from my window. That's why I'm in this room instead of something with a more calm backdrop. So this is my new ring light. Come down here, friend. So essentially this particular model comes with a 10-inch ring light. It also comes with an adjustable phone mount. This does open and close, so you can just pop your phone right in there. It plugs in with a just regular USB. It has a control on the wire there to turn it on, to turn it off. It actually has 3 different shades as far as light colors. So you have a cool or more blue-based light. You have a warmer tone, which is more of like a yellow-orange, and then what they call daylight, which is just like your generic wash. It also comes with a remote, a Bluetooth remote if you want to use it as like a flash. And what I loved about this one is it actually came with a carrying case for both the light and the stand. Now, the reason I went with this particular model was, first of all, it was quite affordable. It's on Amazon right now for, I believe it's $75. And yeah, so essentially, this is gonna give you a great jumping off place to start. I like to use it in addition to the lighting in a room so it doesn't look so harsh, which is one of the critiques that people have of using ring lights, is that it looks like, you know, you're doing a blog on skincare. Oh wait, I did that. But it's just more natural if you're using it in addition to other lighting, but you can absolutely use this by itself. But for me, the other company that I was looking at is NEEWER, and I can highly recommend their products. I have so many friends that are using those ring lights as their at-home setup, but for me, the rings were too big. So the smallest size that they had available when I was looking was the 12-inch, which is 12 on the inside of the ring. So that meant that the ring itself was actually 14 inches. And being that I travel so much, I wanted something that I could pack in my carry-on, because if I'm gonna be gone on a contract for 6 months, I wanna be able to bring my setup with me. So that's why I ended up going with this company instead of NEEWER. But if that's not something that you're concerned about, I absolutely recommend looking into NEEWER. They are a little bit more expensive, but again, they're both really good products and I highly recommend both. At the end of this video, I'm actually going to take you guys to a different room where I can turn this on and off so you can really see the difference of how drastic the change is. But yeah, so moving on. We've discussed our lighting. We have discussed the fact that your iPhone camera is enough. I know you might not want to listen to me, but your iPhone camera is enough. Okay, moving on. So, this is my new sound recording setup. Now, Rachel, this seems very complicated. It's really not. Now, let me just preface this by saying, if you don't have the extra money right now or the need to really level up your audio, you can use the microphone in your phone. I personally would recommend going online and finding an additional microphone that can attach to your phone to help you know, direct the sound recording. I know Shure has one. I will try to link it in the bio if I can find it. But just something, because in your iPhone, you'll probably notice this. If you're recording a voice memo or a video and things go from very loud to very quiet very quickly, the microphone kind of just goes somewhere in the middle. It's not gonna react as quickly as you want. So, especially in musical theater, when you're trying to have these big belty moments and then a really genuine small moment, it can get completely lost on the audio of your phone. But for most needs, it's totally fine. But if you want to learn a little bit more about audio, you want to have a little more control over your sound, post-production, as if I'm so professional. But I would recommend getting just a regular USB microphone. If you go in, there are other options, but I personally think that a USB-based microphone is just so much easier for the average person. And the one that I have is actually the Yeti Blue. I've had this one for a few years. My parents got it for me. And it actually comes with a totally different stand. So pause, I will show you. I'm back. So originally, the microphone comes on a stand like this. The microphone itself is, I think it's on Amazon for like 130 bucks. It's a really good starter microphone, but this was not working for me because that means that I have to find a table that's either tall enough to line up with my face or I have to sit in a chair and sing. So that doesn't work for me. And we know that scientifically, whenever sound is coming out of you when you're singing, it's coming out in a cone shape. Oh, sorry. So if you have your microphone set way down low, it's not gonna get the center of your sound. So you really need to have the ability to adjust the height of your microphone. So what I got here is it's an extendable boom mic, so you can adjust this to be angled, you can make it lower, you can make it higher. And it is from the brand, I'm gonna say it wrong, Hola. It's actually a Hawaiian brand, but I like to call it my Hola stand because why not? And it was not super expensive. Let me double check how much it was here. It was $36.95, and it can go up to 63 inches when it's fully extended. So you have so much, you know, flexibility as far as height with this. And it's really sturdy because anyone that has a condenser microphone like this, you know they are kind of heavy. So I wanted something that had a little more stability just in case. I didn't want this thing falling over and landing on my floor. So as I said, the microphone itself was about 130 bucks. The stand was about 37. And then this is just a pop screen. This is one of those things that if you're recording a self-tape and you're just kind of catching the general sound of the room, then this isn't going to be quite so necessary. But I have it for whenever I want to do any close-up recording or voiceover recording because it actually stops the kind of stop plosives that you get, like your T's and P's and things like that. This actually buffers that so it won't peak out your microphone. Now, I'm gonna take this and be using it in all of my new videos. So if you'd like to see it actually in action, you can go ahead and hit the subscribe button and you will be able to see those as they come out. But what I typically will do for this is essentially I will set this up directly behind my ring light. So it's still at the same height as my face. So it's gonna get the center of the sound that's coming out of me. And yeah, it's not that large of a setup, which was important for me again, because in Manhattan and any larger city where you have a smaller amount of space, it's at a premium. So you have to find things that will work and that you can, you know, break down and hide away because you don't want to look at it all the time. I'm lucky right now that during this whole pandemic, I am at home with my family in Pittsburgh, so I've got plenty of space, but I really wanted to think long-term with my purchases. So that is why we ended up with this setup here. So I'm gonna take you guys with me into the other room real quickly so you can see how the ring light works, and I'll be back in just a minute. Hey guys, welcome to my office. So this is my normal lighting. Typically I would try to find some sort of lamp that I could point in my direction for tapings and things like that, but this gives you kind of an idea of what I would normally have without the use of a ring light. This is with the ring light on. Ooh, you can see the difference, obviously. And this model has 3 different colors that you can use. So this is just regular white light. This is with blue and with a warm light. So white, cool, and then warm light. You can just click through those again so you guys get the idea. It also has a option to turn it down. So let's turn it down. You can see that down. Just a little bit of lighting from the front. And then we can crank that all the way up too. So you can really see the difference. Okay, so you guys have now seen the new ring light setup in action. As I said, you can see how drastic the change is in the quality of your video just by supplementing a better light source. So I highly recommend that you try to level up your lighting situation. It's gonna really improve the quality of your video and just make it look much more professional. And I did realize that I forgot to talk about one other aspect of audio, which is how you are playing your track or your piano accompaniment. So there's kind of two options with this. The first, of course, being just a regular speaker. This is the Ultimate Ears Boom. I think it's the Boom 3. And I picked this one in particular because it can get quite loud. And if you're like me and you have a very large mouth and you belt very loud, you can sometimes be louder than your track. So you need to find something that can overpower you. But there is another option, which is better if you guys are interested in giving it a try. Instead of having the microphone picking up both the track and you at the same time, if you play the track just for yourself and it's only recording your voice, then you can control the levels and layer them on top of each other post-production once again. So how do you do that, Rachel? How does one do that? Well, you can either use just regular cheap, crappy, like earbuds or, you know, earbuds, AirPods. Wow, that was eloquent. Any sort of one of those things, you pop it in your ear and you play the track for yourself and then you sing, and so your microphone's only picking up your voice. And then you can go into some basic software like GarageBand and you can adjust those levels and make sure that your voice is really being heard over the track, but you're not totally losing the track. So it is a little bit more complicated. I'm actually gonna do a separate video, I think, just talking about software systems I recommend that you can become familiar with as an artist that can be helpful to you, so you don't always have to be paying someone else to help you with things. Yeah, so if you haven't tried that way before, give it a shot. Anyone that has shorter hair, or if you see it, it's kind of an industry standard now, so no casting person is going to judge you for having an AirPod in so you can hear your track, because it just means that the quality of audio they're getting is going to be better, and they know that. So yeah, we've talked about lighting, we've talked about audio and your video, which your iPhone's enough, people. Anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and if you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to me or comment below. I will post all the links of the products I talked about in the bio, and if you have any other recommendations as far as products that you think I should try out, comment those as well. I'm always interested in adding to my collection, if you will. And yeah, I will see you guys at the next one. Don't forget to hit subscribe, and you will get to see my new setup in action. See you next time.